All right. Good morning. Hello, Tuesday morning. And I am going to start going live a few mornings a week, probably around 8 a.m. And it's interesting. If you turn an 8 sideways, you get an infinity symbol. All right. So it's me, Bill, Infinite Vision Coach. And today I'm going to be talking about the number one most pervasive visual skill that's missing from almost every tennis player I meet. It's really an interesting thing. So, there is one thing that 100% or almost 100% of the players that I meet who come to me for a lesson for the first time, from beginner to intermediate to 4 or 5 and sometimes even 5.0 level players, there's one thing they're not doing. They think they're doing it. You probably think you're doing it, but they're not doing it. And I'm going to get into that a little bit here. Also the 4th edition of Visual Training for Tennis is almost ready, and I've been getting some really great feedback. So one thing that's happening right now is I'm getting towards the very end of publishing that book, and somebody gave me the great suggestion of splitting up some of my longer paragraphs and just having more one sentence paragraphs. So that has been an amazing thing. And what do you know? It's a visual tip that they're giving me, because when you're reading longer paragraphs, you can get a little bit lost, right? But if you have, 4 or 5 lines and then you have a one sentence paragraph, that's kind of a nice thing. All right, I've got a viewer here. So if you are watching, go ahead and oh, I guess I can watch this on Facebook. So I'm trying something new here where I'm actually going to be watching this on Facebook and I can see the comments coming in. So if you've got a comment or a I am messing myself up. All right, I have to go back to StreamYard right there. And where am I? There I am. Okay. So the number one most important thing that people don't do is they don't pay enough attention to the contact point of the opponent. They think they're doing it, but they're not doing it. And one thing that's really important about that is that by the time the ball comes out of your racket by 2 feet, your brain has calculated with 95% accuracy where it's going to land. That's really, really an important thing, but people don't fully attend to that moment. They're not really paying full attention. They're not really seeing the ball coming out of the strings. Let's go like this a little bit. And so because of that, then they're not able to read and react to what the opponent's shot is doing. And it's really kind of an amazing thing. It's a very simple thing to do. And what I've found is that it makes a pretty dramatic impact on people's game. We had a funny moment the other day. Sterling was with Pierce, the 13-year-old tennis player, and they were having a discussion about seeing the ball coming out of the opponent's racket. And of course, Pierce said, "Oh yeah, Dad, I already do that." And it was really cool, and the kid was believing in himself, and we liked that. And then they went out on the court, and Pierce had a revelation. He realized for the first time that he hadn't really truly been tuning into every single shot coming out of Sterling's racket. And the thing I remember about them telling that story was that Sterling was telling me that all of a sudden Pierce was like really excited, like, wow, I felt like I knew where you were going to hit. Like it was almost as though, the 13-year-old thought that he had developed a sixth sense. He could tell, he could surmise where the ball was going to go. So it's a very important aspect of the visual skills, the visual training for tennis. So bring your full attention to the ball coming out of your opponent's racket. And that melds with something that um, Craig O'Shaughnessy says quite often. You are the second most important player on the court, because it's really truly understanding what your opponent does that gives you the most insight into how you're going to win the match. You need to be probing your opponent, looking for weaknesses. And nothing will help grow your confidence more than when you discover a relative weakness in your opponent. And the only way you're going to do that, or actually the best way you're going to do that, is by paying full attention to their contact point, because you'll start to pick up some cues about, balls that they miss, certain balls that bother them. You're going to pick up some cues in regard to, do they like high balls? Do they like low balls? Or do they hate those? It's really interesting to me how some players just really love that ball to be just slightly below their hip, and they can really crush that. And then other players love that shoulder high ball, but a lot of players don't like the shoulder high ball. And and then most players don't like the ball when it's over their head. That can be trouble. So you can start to understand these things, and you can try different spins, and you can go, all right, hey, I'm going to hit this kind of top spin. Do they hate my drive? Do they hate when I loop it up? Do they hate when I roll it forward a little bit more? Do they hate when it dips? Do they hate my slice? You start to figure these things out, right? And that also goes back to Bill Tilden, because he said every ball should have some type of intentional spin. And what is your intention? Your intention is to find the shot that your opponent doesn't like, right? So that's a Bill Tildenism, is find out your opponent's favorite shot and never give it to them, and find out their least favorite shot and use that when you really need a point. I mean, if you really needs a point on game point or break point, then you want to go to that place that they don't really like that ball. Of course, you don't want to give it too many shots, because you don't want to give them practice on the day and help them get better at that shot. But you save that for a good time. But all of this is discovered by really truly paying attention to the ball coming out of the opponent's racket. And your brain collects a lot of information, but not if your eyes aren't really truly paying full attention to that moment that the ball and the racket meet on the other side. And there are a couple of ways to do this. One thing that people are really familiar with is the concept of bounce hit, which I've actually changed it to bounce toss, because I don't like the word hit anymore. Hit is kind of a tense and a willful word. Toss is a little more relaxing. Well, anyway, one of the variations of that is to say bounce and toss on your opponent's side, because then what ends up happening is it really brings your full attention to that side of the court. And so a couple of different things are going to happen. One, you will better attend to where is the actual location of the bounce of your ball. This is another thing that people often miss, is that they don't really truly see where their ball bounces. They think they're hitting target areas all day long, but they're not. If you're a coach, you know that to be certain, that you have a player and they say, hey, that went in the target area, and you're watching closely and you see that it landed 2 feet short. So there's this problem of perspective, but then it's also sort of a wishful thinking thing. Okay, so when you say bounce and toss on the other side, then you have to pay better attention to where your ball bounced. And then in order to say toss on the other side, then your eyes have to be looking over there. And one thing that I see almost instantly every time is how much more quickly players respond to the ball out of the racket. The thing that's curious about that to me is that I see it instantly. Wow, you really reacted more quickly to that. But oftentimes they don't. I would say about 50% of the time, my player is not cognizant of the fact that they have responded more quickly. And I think what it does, it points out to the fact that it's kind of a subconscious thing that happens. And so they just moved so smoothly into it, they didn't even really pay attention to it that much. But other players who are maybe a little bit more self-aware and can tell the difference between the before and after, then when you point it out to them, then they go, "Oh yeah, I guess I was." So anyway, those are a couple of ways to do that. And the book is coming out very soon. Also, I'm going to be starting to redo the course on visual training for tennis. So there will be a relaunch on that. Part of the reason for that is because I wanted to bring a little bit better video quality to it. I wanted to have better production because I wasn't happy with my backgrounds and the use of a virtual background in my other videos. So I'm going to upgrade that, and that course will be launching again when the book comes out. Also, there will be a PDF that comes along with it. Actually, you're going to, for a little bit extra, then you get the PDF, and then that will have videos embedded in it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So that way, then you can get the video support that goes along with that, and then that will lead also into the full course. So anyway, today's big number one thing is see the ball come out of your opponent's racket. I'm going to go back and look at comments that people are making. Let me see. Let me go over there right now. Let's see if I can find something right here. All right. No, I'm not seeing any comments there. But it's a little unnerving to be here watching in video on StreamYard and then also see it on delay on Facebook. But anyway, I'll look for your comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you probably Thursday, because tomorrow I've got some other stuff going on that's going to get in the way of me coming on at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right. Thank you.